Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to some more viewer confessions. Got some more Am I the A-hole stories for you today, and we're starting off pretty strong with this one. Am I the a-hole for not loving my mother? Context, my dad doesn't live with us. So ever since COVID, my mom has changed drastically. So much so to the point where I hate being around her. Her hoarding problem got worse, from being in the basement to being in the entire house. She also practically worships Donald Trump and is a conspiracy theorist, and because of this we clash really badly. Whenever we are in the car together, there is this awkward cloud of emotions between us, and we never talk. She is very manipulative and a narcissist and doesn't realize it, and she thinks she's always in the right, always doing the correct thing when it comes to parenting. It's gone so bad to the point where I've been grounded from my phone for a month because, quote, I need a break from my friends and social media, end quote. And she also takes my phone away without saying why or for how long, which she doesn't pay for at all. This has been on and off for about 5 to 6 months now. My therapist said this is her losing control because I am the only thing she can control in her life and she's spiraling. She also controls what I eat, wear, buy, read, and save/spend money on, which she has done all my life. All of my friends and their parents hate her, and I do too, but my therapist says I should love her because she's still my mother. But I don't know if I actually do. I'm almost 18 and I'm worried that when I move out, it will harm her, causing her to possibly go into depression or worse. She doesn't want me to move out until I graduate high school, but my birthday's in November. I wanted to get emancipated, but it fell through. Am I the a-hole for not loving her because of how she's been treating me and my friends? I don't think you're the a-hole for not loving your mother. You can't really force a child loving a parent, okay? It sounds like things are a bit rough in your house, and it sounds like your mother is a troubled person, to say the least. At least you're seeing a therapist at the end of the day to kind of talk about this with. But you don't have to love the fact that she takes your phone all the time. You don't have to love the fact that she has a hoarding problem. You can try and love her for who she is, but again, it sounds like there's a lot of baggage there. It sounds like there's a lot of problems there, and it's not exactly an easy thing. As far as you getting emancipated is concerned, I honestly, if you're close to 18, just wait it out. It doesn't sound like you're getting physically abused. There's probably some level of emotional abuse there. As far as you being worried that moving out will cause her harm, you also have to remember you have to do what's best for you. Yeah, she is your mother at the end of the day, but if you have a bad relationship with her, you guys being under the same roof is not going to do you any good, and it's not really going to do her any good. But yeah, overall, not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for dumping my boyfriend after he dumped me? So anyway, a few years ago when I was 14, I met a person I'll call Paxton. He was a good friend at first, and we hung out at his place, played his PS4, all that friend stuff. He had anger issues, so he'd usually cuss me out if I wanted a game or did something wrong. One day he decided tonight was the night. He asked me to be his girlfriend, and of course I agreed. I had a bit of feelings for him too, not gonna lie. We were dating for around a year and a half, so we were happy. We didn't do the deed and all that, but he, for some reason, was really insistent on it. He was always weird about topics like that. I wasn't comfortable with it. But anyway, I was on Discord with my other friends playing some weird games. We were having fun and all that, till Paxton messaged me, "Where have you been? Answer my calls," stuff like that. I didn't feel like responding, which was probably my fault, and he got mad. So he told me to tie a rope, if you know you know, and told me that I'm a good for nothing slut, for no reason. I tried texting him back after a few days, but he was still mad at me. All because I took literally 10 seconds too long to respond. So I got really emotional, cried, and dumped him back. Now that was about 3 weeks ago, and now he's starting to spam call me and text me, and I feel really bad. But I know that if I text him back, it's just going to happen again. He always finds some reason to get mad. I feel like an a-hole though, and my mental health is starting to go downhill. I just need some advice, but anyway, am I the a-hole? You are absolutely not the a-hole here. You do not deserve to be told to go tie a rope and off yourself and that you're a good for nothing slut. That is an overreaction to say the absolute least. Now, if you hadn't responded to him for multiple days, sure. For a few hours, maybe he could be a little ticked off, but nothing like this. If it's actually 10 seconds like you're saying, this is a problem. This is a toxic relationship, and I think you should stay out. Like you said, he's going to find another reason to get mad and all that stuff. Let him deal with his anger issues. And maybe if he apologizes, if you want to let him back in, you can. I wouldn't personally, though. This one is titled, Am I the a-hole for dumping a girl I never even dated? So back around the years of 2010 to 2021, I had a girl best friend, which I basically knew ever since I was born. Our parents were super close and had met through church years ago, so naturally me and her would be close as well. We always hung out as kids, and we had this dynamic duo thing going on. But here's where it gets weird. I remember this very vividly, like it was yesterday. I was around 6 when this happened. We had got off from Sunday school, and were about to get lunch along with my parents. So me and her sat at the very back seats of the car. It was a 7-seater. All of a sudden, she tells me to show her my penis, because she was, quote, curious. And in return, she'd show me her private area. I was immediately shocked and low-key disgusted, but she threatened not to be my friend anymore if I didn't do it. Being the idiot kid I was, I fell into the pressure and showed her, not thinking much of it back then. Years passed and her whole family moved to Canada, and I didn't see her for another 2 years. Fast forward to 2022, and we finally saw each other again, but this time she would jokingly say in front of me and my other close friend the whole situation. Only this time, I got framed as the one initiating the situation. I wouldn't even know what to say, but my heart just sunk, and I was shitting bricks. I tried arguing with her, but there was no reasoning with this bitch. Throughout the years, I always knew she had a thing for me, and I'll admit, I used to as well. But those feelings sort of died out. After this, I pretty much cut off all contact from her, with my other close friend being the only link between us anymore. I do feel bad for just leaving our friendship like that, and pretty much throwing all the years down the drain. But I just don't want those accusations to get anywhere, since people will probably take the side of the girl than the guy in a sexual situation like this. Thank you for reading, love the videos. Okay, so I think this is titled a bit wrong. You didn't really dump a girl, you just stopped being friends with a girl, number one. Number two, at 6 years old, the whole I'll show you mine, you show me yours thing happens a lot. Messed up thing for her to say that you're not going to be friends anymore, but that's kid stuff. Sometimes it just stays as kid stuff. Now for her years later to spin that story on you and to say that you're the one who initiated this, that's a problem for me. That's where things become sketchy. Me personally, I would not be talking to her at all. There would be no contact, no anything, blocked on everything, because no friendship is worth being accused of something you didn't do, especially when it was done to you. But overall, I don't think you're the a-hole for cutting contact. It sounds like this girl is probably going to get you canceled for something like this. So I don't think you're the a-hole. You could try and be friends with her again. If she apologizes for doing that, and if she stops telling people that you're the one who initiated it, then maybe there's some reconciliation there. Otherwise, stay away from her. This one is titled, Am I the a-hole for ignoring my partner's transition? So I'm a straight male and my partner is trans, female to male. And I don't still yet know what to think about his transition, as I fell in love with him as he is, not what he wants to become. Though this might sound weird, but I completely ignored the fact about his gender identity while getting together with him, and now I just can't let go as I love him way too much. Though I'm as straight as can get, I'm just scared to lose him as he is right now, and it's tearing me apart. I've already talked to him about this, but I just need advice from other people. I don't get why people want to transition in my opinion. I'm not hating on it, I just find it unnecessarily complicated and don't understand why somebody would go through all of that. The reason I even started pursuing him is because one of my friends for some reason told me that he was no longer trans, which stupid me believed. Only later did I find out that he still is and fell in love with the rather feminine version of him. Part of me thinks that his transition won't matter as much as the changes will not be that many and our love goes beyond gender. But yet again, I am for certain completely straight, but I tell people I'm bi just to cover my mistake. And I don't know what to make of it. I feel like such an a-hole for having completely blurred out that fact, although the hints were blatant, even just completely ignoring it when mentioned because that is what I wanted to hear. Okay, for the sake of this, I'm going to assume that this person you speak of was a biological female before the talks of the transition happened, and probably used she, her pronouns, right? Now, given that fact, I don't think you're the a-hole here for, ignoring this or trying to make it seem like it's not what's happening. I think you're just in denial. Okay, for someone to transition from male to female, female to male, or in any way, shape, or form, and for you to be dating that person, some people sort of go through that in the 5 stages of grief because essentially you're mourning the loss of something that was, if that makes any sense. It's also the reason why people who transition call their name, like their original name given to them at birth, their dead name after they transition. Because in some sense of the word, they're effectively killing that person and then replacing them with something that is not necessarily new, but sort of similar. So your girlfriend then would, turn into your boyfriend, and you're saying that your love goes beyond gender or whatever. Personally, I don't believe that. If you are as straight as you say you are, that means that you might not necessarily be attracted to whatever this person has transitioned to. Okay, that means that, yes, you can love this person, but this person is probably not suited to be your partner. It's clearly bothering you, it's clearly a problem for you, and it's something that you need to speak on. It's a very complicated situation. If your partner changes genders, you're not obligated to be okay with that. When people change, especially in relationships, most times you can't even handle that change. It's the same as couples who have been with each other for 20 plus years growing apart. There's a change, there's a rift, there's something that is causing tension and discontent with the situation. And it's no different here. Anyway, all things considered, I don't think you're an a-hole necessarily. I just think you're not being honest with yourself or your partner. And I think you guys have to have a very in-depth conversation of what this means and if it makes sense for you guys to stay together. Am I the a-hole for sabotaging large orders? G'day, Nico. I hope you're having a great day/evening. A bit of background information. I'm Australian and work at McDonald's. We call it Macca's in Australia. I once had this guy on counter where I took his order. He went extremely fast, got impatient when I was searching through this unorganized POS screen. Any Macca's front area drive-through staff knows the pain of that system. and didn't let me search through the messy interface to add what he wanted. He slammed the cash in front of me, started tapping his foot, and didn't even say thank you when I was done. I took a photo of the order label so I have a recollection of that order. The order was exactly, oh my god. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm going to put it on screen. It is a massive ass order. It's like 20 burgers on there alone. Yeah, a complete fat order. Rude as well. The prick also complained his order was taking too long. Mind you, one side of the frappe machine was not working. And like 2 orders ahead of me had around 6 frappes total. Big ass order plus busy restaurant with moderate size orders equals sit your ass down and expect to wait a while. He complained after about 10 minutes of waiting saying, "Where's my food?" I said, "Sir, it's still coming. You have a large order and we're currently maxed out." He complained about 20 minutes in for the second time, so I legitimately stopped working on his order and knocked over some other reasonable ones just to make this a-hole wait. I didn't work on his order for a good solid 10 minutes before working on it again. I accidentally only gave him 3 napkins, forgot his Big Mac sauce, bent his straw slightly, threw his small fries all inside the bag, and gave him the laziest frappes known to man. One had near 0 chocolate drizzle, and one where I dumped a metric fuck ton onto whipped cream. Okay, it then goes on to say that he basically screws up more of this order just because it was a jerk. I then called out his order number, and of course, after all this whining, he doesn't show up. I yelled the number again, now publicly irritated, and he shows up and snatches it, that brings back his drinks, whining that they have no ice. The ice had melted because the second the order goes through, we have an automatic drink machine which dispenses them, and we were also busy that night and hadn't had the time to fill the machine up with ice. He demands new drinks, I take them back and hide, then just scoop ice into them, and then in one of his large cokes, I mixed a packet of salt to get back at this a-hole. The manager was in the office and was never caught. He then sits down and eats with his family. About 30 minutes later, they leave. Didn't bother to push it in the bin, or at least organize the rubbish. They left the shit pit, and guess what? I had to clean it up. 2 weeks after the incident, he comes back, same old a-hole behavior, so this time, when taking his order, I purposely pressed the wrong things, and then when he paid, I printed out his order sticky label and hid it so it wouldn't get done for ages. Coincidentally, I clocked off in 10 minutes, so he wouldn't go off at me. According to my friend who was on shift, the customer crashed out to the point where the manager lost his shit and crashed out at him, gave him a refund, and kicked him out of the restaurant. I'm in year 11, so I'm also pretty tired and grumpy as from studying senior school nonsense, hence why I was not in the mood to tolerate his BS that day. Moral of the story, if you're an a-hole to fast food workers, they are guaranteed to be a-holes back. Us teenagers do not take that level of disrespect lightly when working minimum wage, just to barely be able to afford our license or a car, and tired AF from school. Alright, there's a lot of things to unpack here. Number 1. I understand the notion of, making him wait a little bit longer and being lazy with his order for him being an a-hole. It's not necessarily the right thing to do, but I probably would have done the same thing. Where I think you're the a-hole is that when you purposely mess up the second time he came through and then got off your shift. Because if you're going to cause a problem, letting other people deal with the problem you cause is an a-hole move. The rest of the staff should not have to deal with your revenge arc, okay? And while it's understandable to sort of crash out and do things like this, you're in a professional setting. Customers are going to be mean, they're going to be problematic. You're better off telling your manager immediately and trying to get this guy kicked out rather than causing problems for the establishment. And I understand this is a McDonald's, it's not like it's your local mom and pop, but you have to treat this job like any other job, right? You want to be professional as much as you can, but everyone has their limits. To conclude, I wouldn't call you an a-hole for delaying that first order and making things a little bit more annoying and problematic for the customer there, but I would call you the a-hole for sabotaging that second order and letting others deal with the mess that you made. Oh, and one last thing. If you're one of those people that's rude to service workers or fast food workers, retail, anything that's minimum wage and something that nobody ever usually wants to do but kind of has to do, just don't. Contrary to popular belief, just because you're a customer, that does not give you the right to be nasty to the people working in these establishments. I don't care if you're having a bad day, I don't care if your fucking brother died, not their problem. So be nice to them and maybe they'll be nice to you back. Maybe instead of this guy having his order taking 40 hours, maybe they would give him an extra chicken nugget meal because he ordered so much food. You know? This one is titled, Would I Be the A-hole for Distancing Myself from a Friend Who is Homophobic? Just to get some background, I have a friend who I'm going to call Mike, which I've known since primary school, and have been good friends ever since. There was a time where we fell out of touch for a good couple of years, but I eventually moved to his school after a while. I'm in a relatively large group of friends with about 8 or so people, which Mike is also a part of. Now I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn here, but I'm in a way the leader of the group. Many people in the friend group have said this, although much to my dismay. I believe this is because of my age and a bit of my maturity. We are also in school, and I'm almost 2 years older than a few of them, naturally making me a bit more mature than most of them. Also thought that it would be good to note we go to an all-boys school. Now to get onto the actual story, every so often someone in the friend group will make an occasional homophobic joke, as a bunch of male teenagers are gonna do. Now I'm certainly not homophobic, and I'd consider myself quite the opposite, so naturally these jokes sometimes make me a bit uncomfortable. My friend Mike is definitely the main culprit when it comes to making these jokes. So one night, I was in a Discord call with a few of my friends, including Mike, and we were kind of just doing our own thing. Now, one of our friends asked me to stream the game, which I was playing, The Last of Us Part 2, so he could watch as he's interested in the game, and of course I said sure, as it's something that me and this friend do regularly. Mike decided that he wanted to watch as well as another friend, which I'm more than fine with. But then Mike started asking questions about the game. For those who haven't played The Last of Us, the main character is a lesbian who has a girlfriend. So when the main character's girlfriend came onto the screen, he naturally asked who she was, and I explained that she's the main character's girlfriend. Suddenly he went kind of silent, and then he asked what would my parents think of me playing this game. I then said they wouldn't really care for me playing a gory game, as I've watched far more gory stuff with them around. But then he said that the gore wasn't the issue, and that the fact that the main character was a lesbian is why my parents wouldn't want me to play it. In all honesty, I was taken aback from that comment, as I really don't understand why people would be so offended about playing as a lesbian character in the game. I lost my words for a few seconds before I said my parents wouldn't care about that at all, as there's nothing wrong with being gay. He then said, yeah, there is, and that it's not natural and immoral. I really don't know what to think about this. I'd like to think he's still joking, but even if he is, he's taking it a step too far in my opinion. If he really does think this way, then I'm not sure I can stay friends with him, as it's something that I can't seem to get off my mind. I'm going to keep it a stack with you. Your friend is not joking here. If he's straight up saying to you that playing a video game with lesbian protagonists would be a problem because being gay is immoral and unnatural, he very much believes what he's saying. There's a difference between making gay jokes and straight up saying you shouldn't be playing that there's lesbians in it. And with that said, I don't think you would be the a-hole for distancing yourself from that. Now, you could also go the confrontation route and say, look, I don't appreciate you saying that, I think it's messed up, and see where it goes from there. Although usually people that have such opinions are not usually keen on changing them. But you never know, people change. This one is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she's fat? I grew up as quite a chubby kid. I was overweight and faced a lot of uncomfortable situations with my family, especially my mom. After medical checkups, she'd loudly announce my weight to the entire family, and all of them would have a group discussion about it. When I was 5, my mom even taught me to suck in my belly in public. My dad wasn't much help either. As I grew, puberty did its thing, and by the time I was a teenager, I lost most of the fat, and now I'm at a normal, healthy weight for my height and age, and I'm much happier with my body than I once was. My family has of course noticed the weight loss, and never fails to mention it at every chance they get. It started out being quite rewarding, but now it's just annoying. I can't deny a snack without being told I'm weak, skinny, or unhealthy, and as usual, my mom never fails to remind me to gain some weight or to eat well. Recently, her and my dad have realized that both of them are overweight, experiencing health issues, and need to start working out and focusing on their diets. One morning, my mom went back on her rants about how I need to gain more weight and that I'm not leaving until I finish the food on my plate. I was so fed up with it and frustrated that I ended up telling her that I'm at a normal weight now, and that she can't wrap her head around it because both her and my dad are fat, and not even trying to lose weight. She ended up dropping the conversation, and we finished our food in silence. Ever since then, she hasn't stopped making those comments, but it's definitely become a rarer occurrence. Either way, it doesn't seem like I can win. So am I the a-hole for telling my mom she's fat? Alright, well, look, as a general rule of thumb, you don't call your mom fat. However, this seems valid to me because, well, if you're being accosted about your weight your entire life, whether it's you're too fat or you're too skinny or this and that, and it's coming from someone who also has an issue with their weight, it's one of those things that if you're going to dish it out, you better be able to take it. And yes, you could argue the fact that the mother is trying to look out for her son and not create bad habits here. But it's one thing to look out for him and try and steer him in the right direction, and another thing to make it a point to have a conversation about it with other family members, or vocalize your weight to the entire family. And it seems like what you did worked. Your mom is not really on your ass about your weight anymore. I'm sure you could have been nicer about it. I don't know, man. A lot of people get body dysmorphia from how their parents treated them about food and weight, and I think there's a lot of cases where you would have been the a-hole, but I don't think this is one of them. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. This one is titled, Am I the a-hole for peeing on my friend because he peed on me? Okay, I'm 14 male for your explanation. This happened back in 2023 when me and my friend, let's call him Jake, decided to go over to his house and play games and whatnot. Around an hour into our hangout, we decided to show our you-know-what to each other. And I don't know what Jake was thinking, but I'm guessing he didn't feel it, but he peed all over me. He was aiming up. We put our you-know-what away and he gave me a pair of clothes to change into and said sorry, and we continued to hang out. To get back at him, I drank a bunch of water and waited a bit. We were watching a movie at the time, so it was dark, and we didn't really see each other. And then I just pulled it out and peed on his head while he was sitting. The couches were so low, I was able to aim just well at him. He looked back and I peed on his face directly. He He was shocked and I was done. Once I was done peeing, I laughed and he laughed. We are still friends up to now, and we still love to tell the story to other people. Am I the a-hole for peeing on my friend? I think you are the a-hole here. It doesn't sound like your friend intended to pee on you. It sounds like it just sort of happened. That being said, it is a very funny story to tell people, but do I even have to really comment on this, man? Just don't pee on your friends. This one is titled, Am I the a-hole for bullying the kids that were pretty much bullying me? So 3 or 4 years ago, there were these kids who would just come to my class on breaks and just tell me random shit. So I told my mom and the teachers about it. They did nothing because it's Poland. So after some time, I just started to chase them around the school and actually catching up to them. But the teachers stopped me from running and not them, even though they knew they were bullying me. So me and my friends tried to do something like a trap where they would talk to the bullies while I punched them. It surprisingly worked. And there was a situation when they didn't see me and I kicked their ass so much they cried. Well, I feel like I need more details here because it sounds like they kind of were verbally harassing you and you decided to beat them. I don't think it's a fair exchange. Here's what I will say though. I'm a firm believer in that to deal with bullies, you have to fight back, okay? Because teachers and parents can only help so much, okay? There's not always going to be a warden. There's always going to be a time when you're not around teachers, parents, or something of the sort in the playground, and your bully is going to find that opportunity to bully you. So you have to fight back, whether that's with words, whether that's with your fists, it doesn't really matter. Miss me with that kill him with kindness bullshit, okay? This was something that was instilled in me when I was younger, okay? My parents would literally tell me, if someone tries to get in a fight with you, you fight back, and you fight back good. And that worked, quite literally. I fought off a bully once, and I never was bothered by that guy again. So if parents and teachers aren't doing anything to stop this problem, then it's on you. You're judge, jury, and executioner. And if you get in trouble for it, then you say, well, you guys didn't do anything, so I had to take matters into my own hands. Now, in this case, I don't know if trapping them and sucker punching them or kicking their ass was the ideal thing to do, considering I don't know if they were hurting you in any way like that, but I'm sure it probably worked, so you might be the a-hole. This next one is titled, Am I the a-hole for using people to my advantage? When I was younger, middle school to freshman year, I was very selfish and treated those around me poorly. My friends, my ex, even my family, I just thought of as people who could give me what I wanted. I treated my ex the worst, and she is who I feel the worst about. While I did genuinely care for her, I was asking her for pictures constantly, even when she was uncomfortable, among other things. Now I'm with my girlfriend and our son, who I love with all my heart. But I've traded my selfishness for anger issues that I'm also working on. Even then, despite how hard I've worked towards leaving who I was behind, I still tend to be selfish, often disregarding her feelings and only realizing later that I messed up and trying to make up for it. I'd like to befriend the people I wronged in the past, like my ex and my friends, but I think that would help me feel better more than they would. Another selfish desire. Right now, I'm just working towards being the best partner and father I can be, but it still bothers me. Can I be forgiven and move on, or am I just still that a-hole? To answer the original question, you are the a-hole for using people to your advantage, but I also believe that you can be forgiven and move on, okay? Yes, you've made mistakes in the past. Yes, you were different when you were younger. And if what you're saying is true and you really want to reconcile with people, then go and apologize to them. And maybe they'll want to be your friends again. Maybe they won't. That's kind of the issue with hurting other people, right? You never know what people's limits are with you. Friend A might be okay with this and decide, accept your apology and you guys can be friends again. Friend B might say that they're okay with it, but in reality doesn't really care, doesn't really want to deal with you anymore, so they're just saying it to shoo you away. And friend C might just not accept your apology at all. So you kind of have to just look and see. I would first things first work on your anger issues and focus on the people that you currently have in your life, because it is much easier to focus on the people that are still in your life and that love you and want to be your friends or your partner or whatever than it is to reconcile with people that have already had an opinion on you and you've wronged in the past to the point of no return. Now, whether or not you're still the a-hole that you were before depends on if your actions match your words. You can say to me all you want that you're not manipulating people and taking advantage of them anymore, but is that really what's happening? And as far as the apologizing goes, apologizing in and of itself isn't necessarily a selfish act, but there is a bit of selfishness in apologizing no matter what, because either way, people apologize to reconcile with other people, to regain a friendship, to regain something, right? So I wouldn't really see that as a selfish act, unless, again, you're only apologizing for the sake of getting something out of people, rather than to genuinely tell them you're sorry. This one is titled, Am I the a-hole for trying to get a disabled school lunch employee fired? 17M, who is a junior in high school. So let me explain. At my school, there are a couple of lunch lines with employees who work at them. And at one of them with the sandwiches, the one I go to the most, there's this man. He looks late 30s to 40s, and it is clear that he has some sort of mental disability. I think autism. Whenever anyone will walk by, He will always wave his hands at them from the register and loudly say things like, "How's your mom?" and "Wow, where are you from?" Most people just give him a wave or something and walk by. But really, it just makes me and a bunch of other people uncomfortable. I told the counselor about it, and she said that she'd talk to him about it. But I had the last straw when I was getting a ham and cheese sandwich. This man says to me, "Wow, you're really eating well, huh? I barely recognize you anymore from the chipmunk cheeks." For some context, my sports season had just ended, and I was off my diet. And as a result, I was starting to put on some more pounds. After he said that, I just walked away, no acknowledgement, and just lost my whole appetite. I wrote an official report on the school's website and filled out a paper in the front office, which may have been overkill looking back. I get that he has a disability and probably didn't know it was wrong, but it really affected me and was not okay. Am I the a-hole? This is rough because a lot of the time, people with mental disabilities are not able to really function cognitively in the same way that neurotypical people can. Truthfully, I don't really know here. On the one hand, it doesn't sound like this guy is doing this on purpose, right? It doesn't sound like he's trying to taunt people for the sake of taunting people. It just sounds like that's his personality and he can't really have a filter over it, and he's just saying what he sees. On the other hand, your feelings are valid, but I also think you should know better if you're aware of the fact that this guy has a disability. It would be different if there was nothing cognitively abnormal about him, but it sounds like there is something. I don't necessarily think the report is an a-hole move. I think the school administration should be notified of things like this, but I just hope that this guy doesn't lose his job over it. Then again, should he be working with kids if he can't really keep things like that to himself? I don't know. It's just like, there's a lot of gray in this particular story, so I'm not going to say you're the a-hole or not. The one thing I will say is that if you know that someone has a disability, just try to be understanding and try to see things from that lens, okay? This person is lacking something, and he can't do anything about it. It's not his fault. Now, that only really goes so far, but just try to be understanding. This one is titled, "Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girlfriend because of a girl who showed me what basic respect feels like?" I, 20M, had been dating my girlfriend, Chloe, 19F, for over 3 years. For the last year or so, being around her just felt exhausting. Chloe's sense of humor basically revolved around making me the punchline. Whether it was about my clothes, the way I talk, or my ideas, she always had a snarky comment. And if I told her it bothered me, she'd roll her eyes, tell me I was being too sensitive, and say she was just joking. I honestly started to think that this was just how relationships were supposed to be. A few weeks ago, I got randomly assigned to a group project for one of my general ed classes. That's where I met Maya, 19F. Working with Maya and the rest of the group was a massive shock to my system. When we were brainstorming, I pitched an idea. Maya didn't call it stupid or talk over me, she actually listened and built on it. When I messed up the formatting on one of our slides, she didn't mock me, she just showed me how to fix it and moved on. During our study sessions, she asked me questions about myself and genuinely listened without interrupting or making a sarcastic dig. There was zero flirting and we kept it completely focused on the project. But after a couple of weeks, I realized I was actually excited to go to these group meetings just to be around her. It hit me hard that I was catching feelings for Maya, and I guess it's mutual simply because she treated me with basic respect, something I wasn't getting at all from my own girlfriend. That realization was a huge wake-up call. I saw clearly that I couldn't stay with Chloe anymore. I went over to her place and ended things. I tried to just say that it wasn't working out and that we'd grown apart, but she wouldn't let it go. She kept pushing me, demanding to know if there was someone else. I finally snapped and told her the truth. Quote, "I got put on a group project with someone who actually treats me nicely, and it made me realize how horribly you treat me. I'm not cheating on you, but I'm done being your punching bag," end quote. Chloe lost it. She started screaming that I was emotionally cheating on her with a classmate and that I was trying to gaslight her to cover up my guilt. Now she's telling our mutual friends that I, quote, "left her for another girl," end quote, and a few of them are texting me calling me a scumbag for lining up my next girlfriend before dumping Chloe. The crazy part is, our project is over. I haven't asked Maya out, and I'm not sure about doing so. Am I the a-hole for dumping her over this? No, you're not the a-hole at all for this. First of all, I don't think this girl actually likes you. I think she just likes being in a relationship at this point. If she's treating you like this and making you the punching bag at every joke, disrespecting your wishes when you tell her to stop, that's not a girlfriend, that's a bully. Breaking up with her is the only option. You asked for change, you didn't get change. And you, of course, thought that this was the norm, which it most definitely isn't. So it makes perfect sense here that you started falling for someone who is treating you better. Now, as far as her accusing you of emotionally cheating, you didn't. You didn't flirt with her. You had normal group project conversations and came to a realization. Now, it's understandable for her to feel like that's not the truth, but it doesn't really matter, okay? It really does not matter. Either way, you should be breaking up with this girl. As far as your friends thinking you're an ass for lining up the next girl, you didn't really line up the next girl. You weren't actively seeking for emotional attention from anyone. You just kind of got it in the most basic form and realized you're in a shitty situation. Now, as far as you going out and dating Maya, don't confuse being shown respect and being treated like a human being as a sign that somebody likes you romantically. Maya just might be doing all of this platonically. If there are other signs that you see, like she's flirting a bit, you catch her staring at you, stuff like that, maybe then you go ahead and ask her out. If you're not seeing any of that and it feels just purely platonic, you might need to work on that a little bit more if you want to go out with her. And if you see all of that and you think you like her, go ahead and ask her out. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we had for today. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And as always, good night and good luck, everybody.